Welcome to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. Harvest already underway in many parts of Ohio. Many farmers, though, have started to have important conversations about their seed, chemical, fertilizer purchases for 2025. What are some of the things farmers should consider as they prep to make these critical purchases and save money along the way? Let's talk more about that. Scott LaGuire joins us, Regional Vice President of Ag Lending with Farm Credit Mid-America. Scott, always great to see you. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ty. Glad to be here.
We were talking a little bit off the air about this, but let's talk about what's going on in Ohio agriculture today. What is on the farmer's mind, and is there anything that should be on their mind if it isn't already?
Yeah, I would say you back up a few months, the rain would have been on the farmer's mind, and we just didn't see it happen. So we're experiencing some pretty severe drought conditions across the state, and the crop's probably a little too far gone at this point. And so we're getting out of the field whatever we can get out of the field. I know the southern part of the state's been hurt, the worst from that regard. So we're in various stages of harvest, and we're this year's following up a couple really good years in agriculture where we saw record profits on the farm, and so nobody knows that better than our customers, the farmers. That's a cyclical industry. Every sector is a little bit different. So this year, the protein guys are still probably seeing some money. The grain guys are probably feeling some pressure and feeling some headwinds. And that, kind of leads into this discussion, not necessarily to hit the panic button, but just to maybe go back to the basics and think a little harder on what those numbers look like going into 2025.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult. You're going through corn or soybeans that maybe not be performing as you're used to, as you mentioned, over the last couple of years. And you have to start thinking about spending money in 2025 to get ready for that growing season. So what advice would you give farmers when it comes to having those important conversations with their suppliers about next year's input purchases?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is just don't hit the easy button, so to speak. Don't do the easiest thing or sign the first thing that gets put in front of you. There's a lot of options out there. Have conversations early, have conversations often, whether that's with your business partners, with your spouse, with your children. And we invite you to bring us into those discussions. We like to, we do loans, we do financing, but we also want to be a resource, at your kitchen table as you're making some of these decisions. And there's a lot of them to be made. There's you got cash discounts that'll get thrown your way for prepay. You've got dealer financing. You've got, you might have some money in your checkbook because there's been a couple good years. You have an operating loan with Farm Credit, which, there's interest there. So there's a lot of things to weigh as you're going into next year. And when you got so much money on the line, it just pays to do your due diligence and make sure you make the right decisions.
Not that farmers aren't frugal already, watching every dollar that goes in and out of the door for their bottom line, but saving
Right.
money is going to be key here as we get into 2025. Let's talk about financing through a line of credit. Can that help save some farmers some money on the purchases for next year?
It can, and I know, there's a lot of options out there for financing. So we're not gonna say ours is better than anyone else. There's some dealer financing, but we're asking you just to look at more than just the rate. There's a lot of intangibles, that comes with the line of credit through Farm Credit, and I'll just mention a couple of them. We've got a disbursement card. So you use a disbursement card, the money comes right off your operating loan, and you get 1.5% cash back on the use of a disbursement card, and that's an amount that's just put right back on your operating loan every October. So customers this month will be seeing an amount put back on their operating loan for the funds that they used over the last 12 months. We've got online banking, so you can transfer money in and out from your operating loan just from your phone, sitting in the tractor cab. You can deposit checks sitting in your tractor cab. So there's a lot of functionality and flexibility. And then we've got patronage. So I know we've talked about patronage a lot, over the last few years. It's one of the biggest benefits. It's gained a lot of traction. There's a lot of notoriety around it. We've given, I think, $1.25 billion back over the last 8 years, into our farmer members' hands, and that that makes a difference. So that's a decision that we make every December. As our board of directors will sit down and make a decision. But I know, we see the value that brings to the farm, and we know, our customers count on it. And so we're in a really good spot. We're really healthy as a cooperative, and we hope to bring that benefit to the table, for many years to come.
Want to make sure I heard you right. $1.25 billion in that patronage. That's an
One and a
incredible.
quarter billion,
Yeah,
billion with
that
a
with a
B.
B.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not a small sum, and that's not something you typically see with other lenders, is it?
No, I think that's what sets us apart as a cooperative. Our members are our owners, and so the earnings, the excess earnings, the profits go somewhere. So whether it's another traditional bank or a business, the shareholders see the benefit, and then in our model, the shareholders are our borrowers, and so we love making those visits in March. Passing back, it's their money, right? So we handle it wisely. We take good care of it, and then we give it back when our business says that we have excess to give back. So, and that's not the only benefit. It's cooperative month this month. We've got a lot of learning opportunities throughout our association. Insights conferences, farms conferences, where you can drill down on. You can get as in the weeds as you want, from hedging to crop insurance to cattle marketing, grain marketing. There's a lot of opportunities throughout the year that we can enroll you in and let you take part of, just as as a thank you for being a part of the cooperative and help you move your business in the right direction.
You mentioned for those that may not already be involved with Farm Credit Mid-America, that you would like
Yeah.
to start having those conversations with you and kind of bring you into the fold as far as next year's decisions for the growing season. How do those conversations start, and where can people that maybe aren't involved with Farm Credit Mid-America start that conversation?
Yeah, whether you have a line of credit with us or a loan with us, or you're interested, it doesn't need to be that to have a conversation with us. So if you're interested in sitting down with one of our financial officers, their passion is to help you move forward. You can call. Our 800 number is 800-444-FARM, or you can find us on the internet at fcma.com.
Scott LaGuire, Regional Vice President of Ag Lending with Farm Credit Mid-America. Always great to see you. Thank you so much for the information. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Ty. Appreciate it.
Who feeds your need for new ideas for your family's best farm future? Ohio Farm Bureau. We work with our members to shape ag policy that will positively impact our industry. Farm Bureau is advancing business solutions to give you a competitive advantage. We help you gather information to stay ahead of important topics and technologies. Plus, Ohio Farm Bureau creates opportunities for growth. Ohio Farm Bureau, feeding your need for new ideas.
Find out how Nationwide Agribusiness can help you grow your business. Get to know the people with the experience and knowledge to help you. Whether you are looking to protect your farm or ranch from the ground up, or need someone who understands your changing commercial ag needs. Find out how to better manage the risks of your ag business, or how quickly you can get back to business. Learn how you can protect your next with Nationwide on your side.
Time for another Legal with Leah. I'm Ty Higgins, joined by Ohio Farm Bureau Policy Counsel Leah Curtis. There is yet another lawsuit about the health of Lake Erie, targeting farmers about their role in water quality for the entire Western Lake Erie Basin. To talk more about it, Leah, got a lot to cover here. Not the first time we've had this type of subject matter in the courts. It's happened a few times now.
Yeah, so this is technically the fourth time that these parties have been in the courts. So ELPC has filed against US EPA regarding this same body of water. One case was dismissed voluntarily, second was dismissed by the court. The third ended up with the TMDL consent decree. So the TMDL that is in place for and is the subject of this lawsuit was actually in part created through that last litigation.
ELPC, by the way, anti-agriculture activist group. Not going to give them a whole lot of air in the room here, but just wanted to lay that out there as to who's bringing this suit into the court once again. So you mentioned a TMDL was developed, total maximum daily load. Explain what that is and why that is back in the court this time around.
So a TMDL, as you said, total maximum daily load, it essentially creates a plan and limits for discharges of certain substances into a body of water. And that's done to address water quality, whatever that water body is for, recreation, drinking water, et cetera. So TMDLs are not uncommon. We have them across the state for various types of water bodies all across the country. Lots of different water bodies have a TMDL. So those are fairly normal. This was developed by Ohio EPA for the Maumee watershed to address Lake Erie's water quality challenges. And again, that impaired status came through litigation and through the last lawsuit that was filed by the ELPC as well as the others in the area.
Yeah, we should mention ELPC, as Leah mentioned, is part of this. Also, government leaders at the county level there in Lucas County and also the city of Toledo involved in this as well. They're arguing that this TMDL is not enough for agriculture. What are they saying?
So their arguments are essentially that agriculture should have been regulated more and differently under this TMDL. TMDLs typically have limits for things like wastewater treatment plants, factories, etc. But of course, that's not what agriculture is, and for good reason. The law doesn't treat agriculture the same as those different entities that directly discharge into waterways. So really, the goal of the litigation here is to try to create new regulations through a court case, through litigation, new limitations on agriculture in whatever way possible.
As I mentioned, not just a lawsuit against EPA, but a direct attack on Ohio agriculture. So our members want to know, Leah, what are we doing about it?
So keep in mind that this TMDL was created by Ohio EPA with their scientific expertise, but there's also this is a transparent process. It goes through public engagement, public comment, and so we have to look at that in that process and make sure that we are using the processes in the law. So Ohio Farm Bureau, along with a coalition of 10 other national and Ohio agricultural groups, filed a motion to intervene in this case, and that way agriculture can have a voice in it, and agriculture can tell their story, that there are thousands of farmers that have enrolled millions of acres into the H2 Ohio program, into other federal conservation programs, and the results are there. They show that there is a distinct downward trend in dissolved reactive phosphorus over the last 5 years.
You can get a full list of the groups we're working with on this lawsuit at ohiofarmbureau.org. You mentioned that motion to intervene. Explain to us what that means and why it's important in this case.
So intervening as a party means that we in that group of Ag Coalition partners, we have our own counsel, and we are going to be a part of this lawsuit going forward. So our counsel will be there for any arguments, for any briefings, for any settlements that might happen. And it allows us to ensure that agriculture is being represented in this case, because you never want somebody else to tell your story. So we will be there, we will be advocating, we will be accurately representing agriculture and what is actually happening here in the state of Ohio. Because at the end of the day, it is our farmers that are the ones that are doing the work to address water quality. They are the ones that are out there in the fields, putting in the practices, taking those risks on how they do things a little bit differently maybe to make sure that they address water quality. And they are the ones that are making the difference. And we want to make sure that their story is also a part of this. You
and I talk all the time about how quickly these cases go through. This is going to be quite a time frame in order to get to an end result here.
Yeah, I mean, most cases move fairly slowly. It's not a secret. The last litigation took over 2 years, so it's very likely that this will be the same. There's lots of machinations that happen in court, so it's probably not going to be a quick process, but the important thing is that we as agriculture will be there and we will be a part of the whole thing. We won't be sitting on the sidelines watching what's happening.
Leah Curtis, Policy Counsel with Ohio Farm Bureau, joining us for this Legal with Leah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.